What up, everybody? I'm your host, JP. This is my co-host, Josh.
Hey, everyone.
And welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros Podcast. What is going on, guys? So, we got some big news today. Depending on which side of the aisle you view it as. So we all heard of the metaverse, right? You've heard of the metaverse? You know what that is?
I've heard something about it.
Do you want to join the metaverse?
Isn't that just what Zuckerberg and Facebook are cooking up over there or whatever? I don't know how it works.
was. So the thing is that from what we recently heard is that Facebook's going to be shutting down their whole metaverse section. All their Facebook originals, they're going to be basically gone. So if you didn't know, there was Facebook originals. One of the most notable Facebook original though was, and I repeat, was the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith. Now everybody knows this table. All right, everybody knows this table. Everybody knows it. I know you know this table.
Yeah.
You know what this table's about. You know who was on this show. You know what triggered who to do what he needed to do. So it was very how do you say, polarizing when it first was announced that was going to happen. A lot of people were like, well, I guess it was kind of like a 50-50 split. Some people were like, oh, Jada Pinkett Smith, or you're losing your show. And then some people were really like, this is good. Good job. Like, you don't need this show, especially what happened with notably Will Smith on that show. Did you you're hearing this, did you care for Red Table Talk? Did you watch any of her episodes besides the Will Smith episode?
Well, I didn't know this was a Facebook original. I didn't know Facebook had originals. I don't really care. You know what I mean? It's not something I watched. If you enjoyed this show or whatever, then good for you. But I don't know. This doesn't sound like my cup of tea. I'm not really into. Okay, that's not necessarily true. I don't really care for her side of the drama. You know what I mean? Of things. Mm-hmm. Like, I care for celebrity drama, but not to the point where she's to pull them inside a room and start dishing out. You know what I mean?
Like tea gossip, stuff like that.
Like that.
I mean, it's always good to hear certain things that are happening on there. I know, like, there was a bunch of clips that came out. I know her daughter is a co-host. What's her name? Willow Smith. She's a co-host on there, and they talk a lot. So we're hearing that it is getting... Well, Jada Pinkett Smith is not going down without a fight and is currently looking for a new home to put this show on. Who's going to pick up this controversial show? Who knows? I mean... Let's be real. It was a web show, right? I mean, web shows are a thing. They've been a thing. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that web shows started becoming a thing around the time iCarly was going on. So we've seen a bunch of those shows. We know. I don't know if you knew, but about the web series, the Mortal Kombat web series that they had and everything. Like, no. Web series have been happening for a while, but I think it's becoming to the point where you can get your point across with mediums like this, like what we're doing. You know what I mean? Just a couple people talking. Doesn't necessarily need to be on a specific channel. She can literally make the Red Table Talk on Spotify if she wanted to. You know what I mean? And just do what we're doing. But she wants a big following, and I know that she's been trying to claw her way out of that metaverse and Facebook originals. But Zuckerberg said, "Hey, this is ours. You're not going anywhere." But now that it's completely canceled, I mean, she's free to go wherever she wants.
Yeah, she could. I mean, I don't know if Facebook has rights to that name or whatever, but she could call it something else and then, just pick up where she left off at a different platform.
She could. But like I said, there is a plethora of people who hated this show. One of them who was notable that kind of spoke out about it was, and I mean, you could kind of be like, well, who is this dude? He has like 50 kids, but it was Nick Cannon. Wound up coming out after hearing the cancellation of the Red Table Talk, and basically said, well, we what everybody's been saying. He says that Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk is a toxic show, and that he celebrated the news, saying that it was good. If there was no Red Table Talk, then he wouldn't have been slapped, or he wouldn't have been slapped, which was obviously
Talking about the Oscars.
I was about the Oscars. So I mean, it in a way it's true. I mean, okay. Well, to be fair, we don't know if it directly correlates with the red table talk. Obviously, everybody speculates that, right? Everybody saw how hurt he was. It was a big deal at the time. You know what I mean? Like, how can you go confront your wife in front of the internet and then, you know, about an entanglement, aka they were fucking, and, you know, sit there, and then he just became this meme. You know what I mean? He became this meme, that face that he made and everything. He basically became that Michael Jordan meme, like an updated one. Yeah. So it was kind of like, I agree with Nick Cannon, but we don't know if that specifically correlates, and I don't really think that's fair.
I don't think it correlates at all. I think Will Smith saw that she was offended, didn't like the joke, and then took action. I don't think it has anything to do with the show. If you want to blame the show for anything, blame that they kind of aired out their baggage to the world, basically.
Yeah, and that was one thing that a lot of people said about that episode was that, and this is the reason why that, like, they kind of put it together, is that you once you make a man feel demasculated, I guess, on live TV like that, when it came down to the point where, you know, she looked at him on that Oscars day, right?
Yeah.
Because of those jokes or whatever, that she gave him that look, and, you know, so he didn't feel demasculated again or anything like that. He overreacted. You know what I mean? Like, where you gave little to no fucks on TV for what she was doing and talking to you about on the Red Table Talk. You know, a lot of people with that backlash, or I wouldn't call it backlash, but, you know, inserting their opinion, saying like, why didn't he say anything? Why did he just, you know, just sit there and cry? Why didn't he, you know what I mean? Like, why didn't he leave her type shit? So they say, like, when he felt, you know, Chris Rock was attacking and she looked at him and wasn't laughing and got pissed off, that he just overcorrected that masculine part and, you know, basically shot it at somebody else.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's where they get that correlation.
It would make, I mean, I guess if you look at it like that, then okay, but, you know, things are different, and at that point, who knows what's going on in his head? You know what I mean? That's all up to speculation. I really think it was just, she heard the joke was unfunny, so he was just like, damn, I gotta do something now. But I don't think it has to do
I'm gonna
with
go slap
show.
the shit out of that guy.
Which is like, I mean, she did look sour, and then I was just like, well, you know, who really cares how she feels? Like, you know, it was a dumb joke, and I mean, Chris Rock has better material, so he took a cheap shot, and then he took another cheap shot. So it is what it is.
G.I. Jane 2, sign me up. Oh my god, that, to me, that's just, I ain't gonna even lie, that was kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, I just keep it a buck with that one. But
it was a G.I. Jane joke.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think he should have gotten what he got, but, you know, I guess, Will Smith, you do your thing. But the Red Table Talk is no more, so if you guys were a fan of her show,
it's gone.
The toxicity is gone.
It's gone.
According to Nick Cannon, the toxicity is gone. So
Nick Cannon has no room to talk, though.
I'm just saying, he has like 30 kids. I said 50 earlier, but I think it's like 12, to be honest.
Yeah, he has like 12, 13 kids. And then he said, did you hear what he said? He wants to have one with Taylor Swift.
Did he really?
Did you hear
like
that?
He's pre-planning this shit?
He said that. I forgot where he said it, but he said it. He was like, I would like my next one to be with Taylor. And I'm like, well, damn. Just checking boxes, I guess.
my boy took spreading his seed seriously. Like, he's
just going everywhere.
Yeah, Nick Cannon needs to, you know, maybe he should start a condom brand or something. I don't know. I don't know. But moving on, though. So we've been hearing a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation about none other than Fantastic Four. We've been hearing a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors. I know that we talked about in a couple episodes ago that Adam Driver basically had the contract and was basically like, hey, do you want the job as Reed Richards or not? So we haven't heard anything from him yet. But apparently we're closing in on other things. So one is Antonio Banderas, Puss in Boots himself, might be up to play Galactus, the World Eater.
Damn. It's actually not bad.
You think so? Are we gonna see a giant cloud in space like we did in the Silver Surfer?
I hope not. I don't think so. I don't think the MCU would do that.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I hope they don't do that because that's gonna.
Oh my God.
Obviously, the second Fantastic Four was not the best Fantastic Four, but you know what? I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna cap. I actually enjoy them both, even with their flaws. Okay.
Well, no, I mean I like them too. I think what kind of ruins the second one is the Cloud. The Cloud, Galactus. It had the same effect with Green Lantern. Like I don't care. Why was the bad guy a big ass cloud? Like it doesn't
a
make
big
much
old
sense.
ball of dust.
Yeah, like damn, the dirty bubble type shit. Like it doesn't make
Dirty
any
bubble.
sense. Doesn't make sense to have that kind of bad guy. So I hope he is fucking bigger than planets and whatnot.
Well, it sounds like we're getting a course correct, but I mean, if we're hearing these talks, does that mean that we might be seeing a Galactus in the Fantastic Four? I would think that he would need to be maybe a villain you set up with like a movie or two, and then eventually get to him. I don't know if I want to just go with the first MCU Fantastic Four into a Galactus movie.
Yeah, no.
I think with the second one too, I think it was kind of too soon. I thought it would have been cool to maybe have Doctor Doom as the villain against the Silver Surfer, and then eventually maybe in the third movie, the Cloud makes it to Earth and he turns into a giant, who he's supposed to be or whatever. Like that's where I thought they were going. But then towards the end of the second Fantastic Four, they just started, sucking up. Started sucking up the globe, and it was something different. So I don't know if maybe Galactus is just not the right person for the first Fantastic Four movie. Maybe if they're teeing him up as a main villain later on down the road, but I don't think him off the bat would be good.
Yeah, no.
Or Doctor Doom. I think we done Doctor Doom.
That's why they don't want to do Doctor Doom either. And I'm like, well, I think at that point you're running out of Fantastic Four rogues. You know what I mean?
Who else are their villains? Do you know?
Shit, I don't know.
You don't know the first family's villains?
Well, there's the scroll, the King Scroll.
Yeah, the scroll. That's the one that is able to take all their powers, huh?
Yeah, they could do him since they're setting him up in Secret Invasion and stuff.
That's true.
They could do something like that. But I don't really know their villains like that.
Annihilus, Galactus.
Well, Annihilus would be cool.
Reed Richards is their own villain. What?
Oh, the Maker.
Oh, Super Scroll, Mole Man.
Is he Super Scroll?
Kang, Namor, Molecule Man, Puppet
Kang.
Master.
They could do another Kang.
Impossible Man, Red
Well, I
Ghost.
guess they can't do Kang.
Claw.
He's
dead.
Damn. He died.
But yeah, MCU killed off some people. Unless they get multiversal or whatever, they're not gonna do that shit. It's too confusing for the audience. I think we talked about this in the last episode. But
That's why you didn't hear me just mention Kang.
oh yeah, Kang.
They can't do Kang.
Oh,
They can't do Kang.
I'm just saying, Kang beating on Sue Storm is not a good look for him right now. So I think we should probably steer clear of that one. But another rumor that we're hearing is that Mila Kunis may not be who everybody speculated her to be. We're all thinking, hey, she's up in the running for Sue Storm. But new rumors, and even TMZ broke the story, saying that they might gender swap Ben Grimm and put Mila Kunis as, I don't know, Benjelina Grimm? I don't know. Apparently, people came out and said, Ben being a male doesn't make him the thing. It's not the gender. It's it doesn't matter if they wrote a script specifically for a female. That means that, in my opinion, if they are looking for a female for a gender swap, that means that you have to basically accustom that script to a female. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you can write a script for a man for Ben Grimm and then just be like, oh, we're just gonna swap him out and everything's gonna be exactly the same. No, I think it would be a major difference.
Yeah, you have to make those changes.
Yeah. So a lot of rumors have been going around, and it's been happening because of a lunch date with Mila Kunis and Matt Shakman. I think they had lunch a couple months ago when those casting rumors were happening. Yeah. A lot of people speculated, hey, they're cooking something up. Well, Mila Kunis finally came out and decided to, put those rumors to rest. So she comes out and says that she goes, where is it at? She said we went out to Delhi and had a lunch together, and then the next day I was somehow in the Fantastic Four. She she goes to say that that during the late night show that I am not in the Fantastic Four, but I know who is. She says that she can't share the information as she doesn't want to get in trouble with the studio by revealing any names. So, though she may not be playing, a gender swapped Ben Grimm, it sounds like she probably did have talks, probably does know what's going on, and quite possibly, may have a role within the Fantastic Four. Maybe not as a gender swap Ben Grimm, but
man, that's funny.
Maybe in a different capacity.
Oh man, I couldn't fathom her being the thing.
Just imagine.
No.
It's clobbering time.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
It's goblin time. Oh, it's
whoa, hey, whoa.
Oh, pause.
What do you mean by that, bro? What the fuck? This isn't an MCU movie anymore. But yeah, no, that doesn't work on a different level. It's kind of like what they did with Fanforstic. You know how the Storm
race swap.
Johnny Storm was race swapped, and then they had Sue Storm White, and they were just like, oh well, she's adopted. You have to write that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to accustom it because now you have to explain whose goddamn white baby is that. You know what I mean? So
I mean, do you need that with Ben Grimm though? They were just buddies. They could just be like, well, him and her were best friends since children.
At that point, I think that gives writers the little the thing that they like to do, love triangles.
Oh, it gives them room for that. You think Reed Richards himself would want to boink a female rock?
well, okay, because their dynamic is that he's his friend
and ride or die type shit.
Ride or die type shit, and that he was basically his protector. Like, yeah, he was nerdy and stuff, but he was throughout their school life, he was there for Reed because he kept getting bullied.
Yeah.
So that dynamic works. I don't know if how believable it'll be if a girl is protecting Reed. You know what I mean?
And that goes back to the conversation that we had in our last episode, where can we make it believable?
If she can bulk up and she gets like buff, then shit, maybe. But
I mean, if we want to keep it a bug, she doesn't necessarily need to get ripped either, because they could just completely do a CGI rock like they did with Fanforstic.
That would look weird though.
As Mila Kunis, I don't know, man. If they could make She-Hulk look the way that she did.
I don't know. That would look weird. If I had my way, I choose another practical looking thing.
I'm just saying. Everybody that knows me knows that Mila Kunis, she ever came hollering, okay, come here. So if they make a rock look like Mila Kunis, and I'm just like,
that's a sexy ass rock.
That's a sexy ass rock. They have my money. I'm just saying that right now. They have my money.
Bro, she's probably gonna end up voicing. Someone said she's probably gonna end up voicing.
It's just gonna be it's gonna be a boulder with like a G string and a bra. Damn. That'd be funny.
She might be ending up voicing Herbie, which is a little like robot sidekick, whatever the fuck it is.
That might happen too.
Which, I mean, that's cool. I don't see anything like that. But I don't know.
That'd be such a waste of potential.
I don't know about Ben Grimm.
No, I wouldn't know about that either. I was thinking it would be cool to see maybe like not a blonde Sue Storm, but I mean, at the same time, I would think she's a little bit too old. But they were charting in the 60s, like they were saying in the MCU. We don't know how they're gonna, I guess, be put in. I mean, there's another rumor right now saying that Paul Mescal might be Johnny Storm. That he's over here. They're being offered that. So, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of rumors going on, and I'm guessing
we're close to. If all these leaks are coming through, we're close to a cast reveal.
Yeah, pretty soon, and I don't know how everybody's doing with that. At least, like if they're looking forward to that, or if people are still on that whole Jonathan Majors thing. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people are looking at the casting and it just seems to be overshadowed by what's looming over Marvel right now. And on top of that, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is kind of on a, The movie comes out this weekend, but critic scores are kind of dropping. The Rotten Tomato score, I think it dropped down to a 71% as well. So so it's coming down. I mean, some stuff is happening within the MCU. Like I said, major changes are going to be happening. I don't know if this is going to be the route that they're taking, but it does sound like we are getting closer to a cast, at least. At least we can say that. If Adam Driver winds up taking Reed Richards, they're going to have to basically build off that. Paul Mescal as Johnny Storm 2 sounds pretty good, but we would just have to know who Ben Grimm is too, because they got to bounce off each other.
They have to have that dynamic where I can believe that they're actual best friends and whatever else.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the dynamic between Chris Evans and the actor that was the Thing back in 2004. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they had it right. And then I liked it also in Fantastic. It just Fantastic didn't plan out that well.
I don't think they leaned on the jokes as heavy with Fantastic when it came to them too. I think with the 2004 and the 2006 one, I think they really. Chris Evans was really going in and making fun.
Yeah, you can tell that they were actual friends.
Yeah, like they were actually buddy and having a good time. And then Fast Stick, it was just like Michael B. Jordan pick on him, and then Homeboy just seemed like loathing. I don't know. Ben Grimm, at least. So
he was like, "Man, you made me a monster," and then he just didn't.
Like, how can you make fun of somebody who's depressed about it? Like, be depressed, but.
Like, hey, do something.
No. Yeah, like, do something.
And they got it wrong there too, because I mean, one of the thing's biggest characteristics is like his indomitable fucking will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, sure, at first have it be shocked, but he's still hopeful and all that at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and
he takes that power and puts it towards what he needs to put it towards.
Yeah, like well, the beginning of the first one. I'm sorry, we're talking about the OG Fantastic Four movies with the. Yeah, because
it's good to talk about the past, because that's what's basically going to show us what the future is going to hold. They're not going to do what they did in 2004 or 2006. So they're going to take the good elements out of it and put it into the MCU, and I think that's what we're basically talking about.
And like for the first maybe couple minutes, they show that the world is reacting to him like a freak, and then his wife leaves him and this and that, and he couldn't pick up the ring, but by the end of the movie he's hopeful and he's like living life, and then by the second one he has fans and shit, so like you can't really have him be depressed the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
Or pantless. That was my biggest thing. Give the man pants.
Yeah, why that was a weird thing that they did with Fantastic. I was like, I mean, I get it, he's a boulder, but like I don't know. But the 2004 and the 2006 one didn't help us out either, because he had a girlfriend in that one.
He had pants,
but he had a girlfriend, and it was just like, even Chris Evans kind of brought it up about the Johnny Storm, and I think how do you guys, it's like,
he's like, that's none of your business.
Yeah, that's and I like that they did that they play with that dynamic. So I can't wait to see what happens. Like I said, Adam Driver, Mila Kunis possibly in the mix, Paul Mescal possibly in the mix. It sounds like this could be shaping up to be a good one. And Matt Shackman, who made WandaVision, is going to be making this. Though a lot of people didn't agree with the WandaVision, I personally liked it, and I hope that he does a really good job with this one. Like, honestly.
I think at the end of the day, WandaVision for me was just, like, it was very, like, my favorite thing was that it was so fucking colorful. You know what I mean? Like, I love that shit. And then, like, the mystery and then I love the romantic parts.
I really like how we went through the ages of TV.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I think that was like a unique thing that they did for that show. Like, going from the early TVs to, going from separated beds to beds together to, a family dynamic, even to the point where they were mocking Malcolm in the Middle. I was like, Shackman has a good vision. It just needs to, it's going to be weird to see that translated into Fantastic Four. I'm hoping that they don't have that generic Marvel formula for this movie, and we have something magnificent, But speaking of Reed Richards, we do have confirmation that the OG Reed Richards will be playing a part in the new Bad Boys 4 movie. It's a crazy name. Ian Gruffudd. I'm hoping that I'm not butchering his name. I probably am. So last time we seen him in a movie was back when he played in San Andreas. It wasn't a big role. I think he's been doing a lot of TV as of recently. So hearing that he's coming back, in the next installment of Bad Boys 4, it just makes me speculate what role he could be playing. I'm hoping he's a villain. I'm hoping he's a villain.
I'm sure he's a bad guy.
We know that the dude from Euphoria is gonna be in this one as well, and he's gonna be the villain. So I'm hoping that he's probably like the secondary villain. I'm hoping he's gonna be menacing. I think he has the chops to be a villain, and I think he can actually play a good ass villain.
Yeah. It makes me think he could probably end up being the maker at some point, which would be cool. Like during their whole the MCU's secret wars and stuff. You're just like, man, he could be the maker if he wanted to be.
Who knows? This could be like I said, he hasn't been in a lot of like recent movies recently.
Yeah.
So him taking his foot back into maybe a larger role with Bad Boys 4, maybe jumping around in a couple other movies before, eventually they give him a call like, hey, we need an actor that has chops that can play a Reed Richards. We're gonna give you a script and make you look good, and you're gonna be in Secret Wars. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, start getting his portfolio ready to bring him back as in that movie, The Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Yeah. It'd be nice. I think that's probably the shift that might be happening.
That would be cool, because then at that point you have the Reed that is nothing but logical. You know what I mean? That's the maker, and then you have Reed Richards in the MCU, who's like, who didn't experience what he did. You know what I mean? And who's to say they don't connect it and be like, oh, like he's the one from the Fox movies, and he didn't stop Galactus or whatever. So when his family died, he turned into the maker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, who's to say that they don't do that? I don't know. It'd be nice. But, excited to see him back in movies.
Yeah, and especially see him in a role like this. Now, they are keeping a lot of details about this movie under wraps. I know Bad Boys 3 was a movie that they kept under wraps as well. If you guys haven't seen it, we know that Will Smith's son within the movie, within that universe, is in there. One thing I hope to see in Bad Boys 4, though, is Martin Lawrence losing a little bit of weight. I'm hoping that he gets back into shape and he's not just on the sidelines as, the fat older cop. You know what I mean? Like, I hope he has more to do in this next installment.
No. Will Smith being more fit than him is kind of just like, I get it, age happens and stuff, and I know we were talking about this with Vin Diesel the other day.
Oh God.
But like, you should still get into somewhat shape to be a good cop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would think at least Martin Lawrence, having this role since before, and he's never. I mean, I think only in the first one he was like skinny. I think in the second one he got a little bit more chunchy. You know what I mean? But he wasn't like fat, but like he was a little bit more like healthy, husky, whatever. And in the third one, he just like and I get it. It's a lot. They're a lot older and stuff like that. But Will Smith being in his peak or like. In shape makes sense for the character, and Martin Lawrence being big could make sense for the character, but I think for the sake of the story and, for the comedy wise and stuff like that, I think their dynamic worked better when they were together. You know what I mean? And I feel like in the third one, they were too separated. So I hope we get to see a little bit more.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but we'll have to wait and see. Another good thing that we're hearing ahead of their film debut. All right. The Rocka Brothers. The Talk to Me filmmaking duo, all right, have been approached and asked if they wanted to make a Street Fighter movie. All right, now keep in mind, we seen the A24 trailer, Talk to Me, right? I'll show you the one that they made for YouTube. I wound up watching it. It's actually like for a YouTube movie that they did in like a 25-minute little clip.
Yeah.
And they're making that into a feature-length film. Mm-hmm. It looks really good. So, Danny and Michael Filippo wound up telling the Hollywood Reporter that they did get approached to make a Street Fighter movie. And if you guys seen their YouTube videos, I would not be able to recommend somebody better to do this like movie. Like like if you've seen them, Harry Potter versus Star Wars that they done, the DC versus Marvel, like all these fight ones that they did with like no budget at all and just maybe like a phone camera or whatever. Imagine with a big studio budget to make an actual fight movie. It
That'd
could
be
have
dope.
Mortal Kombat. It could have Mortal Kombat on its fucking toes.
Yeah, that sounds fucking sick. I have no real input, but other than that, sounds fucking dope. They could do it. They could probably pull that shit off. They could have been the ones to handle the MK movie way back when. It probably would have made it better. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they have really good eye for action scenes and sequences and stuff. So, like, hopefully it all works out. That'd be cool.
I'm just happy they're finally getting their time to shine. I think it's been a long time since they've been on YouTube, and now they're, you know, I was watching them since I was in middle school, high school. You know what I mean? So like, now that they're finally getting their chance to shine, it's amazing. I think it's fucking crazy, but like the roles that they're being given, and you know, that hearing that they supposedly got approached by DC. James Gunn said supposedly they didn't, but apparently they were in talks or whatever, and you know, nothing really panned out. It would be hard to give such a property to such a new duo, but like, I think Street Fighter would be a good movie to kind of be like, all right, show us what you got, and if you make this work, you guys are gonna be fucking superstars. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And like you don't really see that many well, we've gotten a few Mortal Kombat movies, but you know, none of them have been that good. And then the one we recently got was torn in half, and then I don't even know if we're getting a sequel for that. So you know, it's kind of dead in the water.
No, it's already filming.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, there you go. But we don't really see it, and I mean, I don't think we have a Street Fighter movie. I know they've made animated shows. I think there's an anime out there. Like
there's an old Street Fighter movie back in the 1900s, and it was like back in 1973 or something.
Damn. But yeah, I know they have an anime for it, like a 90s anime.
Mm-hmm.
But to see it live action would go hard. Like that sounds dope.
I'll show you like a trailer of the original like Street Fighter movie they made. You'll laugh. I think it'd be. Okay. I think it's a good giggle.
Okay.
But moving on to DC. Okay, so a lot of speculation has happened. Okay, so we heard James Gunn say himself when he did his announcements for his new universe that we're gonna be seeing a lot of jumping around from live action to animation to video games, etc., etc., etc. One thing that got people rumbling in the streets is, do we have in a way a misdirection on who might be the new Trinity and who might be the new Batman, new Martian Manhunter, Superman, etc., etc. Nobody has announced anything. Now, Jensen Ackles will be returning to voice Batman in the new Justice League War World, which is the DCAU right now, the DC Animated Universe. Stana Katic and Darren Criss will be playing Wonder Woman and Superman. Now, we know what Jensen Ackles looks like, and I know a lot of people have been campaigning for him to be Batman for a while. I think he auditioned to be Batman a couple times, and I think they just basically say, like, he's too young to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just not very the look. Mm-hmm. Now that he's been getting older and more mature, I think when they seen him in The Boys, I think that's what made a lot more people be like, no, like, he's good for that role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one thing, I just wanted to show you who these voice actors were, and they have regular acting chops. Like, they've worked on a bunch of work before. So now we got Stana Katic, who is voicing Wonder Woman. This is what she looks like.
Okay.
Would that be a live action Wonder Woman to you?
No, I don't think so.
She don't. Well, let me see. No,
not really. No.
Maybe. I would say she has a chance. I mean, she wouldn't be like Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, but like, I wouldn't. I could see a vision if she were to been approached to be Wonder Woman. I could see the vision for it. She don't look like she would be a far-fetched choice. And then we also got Darren Criss as Superman. He's the one who's voicing him. I could kind of see him as Superman as well. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
No? You don't see it?
I don't.
I see a different one. Oh, that's when he was on Glee, I guess. You don't see a Superman there?
No.
I can kind of see a little Superman. So we also got the whole roster, and this is why I'm kind of thinking like this is not it. Now we know that this version of the DC animated universe was happening way before. I think before James Gunn came into the role as DC head. Because I think they did what was that one movie? The one that was the ending to it all, the Apocalypse, Justice League Apocalypse or something. Yeah. And when Flash went back to revert, change time, and then we came out with that new Wonder Woman movie, that new Flash movie, the Back in Time, whatever. And this is basically their new animation style, right? Yep. And you showed me the one that Superman versus Lobo or whatever. Yeah. So now the rest of the cast, and this is why I'm saying I don't think that it's the right. It's gonna be what people are saying, because we got John Johns as Martian Manhunter, Troy Baker as Jonah Hex, Matt Bomer as Old Man Roger, Brett Dalton as Batlash, Trevor Duvall as Drifter, Joe DiMaggio as Lobo, Robin.
Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, Robin Atkin Dones as Mongol, Frank Grillo as Agent Faraday, Rachel Kimsey as Mariah Romanov, etc. Romanova. I don't know how to say that. That's a crazy name. So a few big names there. I know who John DiMaggio is. I know who, obviously everybody knows Frank Grillo. And everybody knows him because he was recently cast in the new Creature Commandos. So if I think people are off the money on this one. Now, the Hollywood Reporter was the one who broke it, like this is going to be James Gunn's Justice League, but I don't think that's the case. I think this cartoon was happening before James Gunn came in, and I think when this iteration of the DC animated universe is over, that's when his is going to start.
Yeah, no, this is different. This is clearly different. To catch you those up on that timeline who don't really know the
catch them up.
So I don't even remember when the first one came out. Way back when, around the time New 52 started. For you comic book nerds, that's a lot to explain. So don't ask me to explain it. Very bumpy stuff going on in the comics, but they decided, hey, let's make animated movies based on this universe. So they do that. You get Justice League War, you got Flashpoint, you got everything else in between leading up to the end, which you just mentioned was Apocalypse War. Torn down the fan base. I personally loved it. I liked how gory it was, and it was a very one last stand emotional thing for me because I saw those movies growing up. So by the end of that one, spoilers, Flash does what he does best, and he fucks up the timeline. He doesn't fuck up the timeline. He resets it to give birth to a new universe. And that's what this is. I don't know what it's called. I think people have been dubbing it the Tomorrowverse. So that's what I'm going to call it for the time being. Yeah. Yeah, you get the ones that I mentioned, or you just mentioned, which is the Man of Tomorrow, the Justice Society, World War II, the Batman Long Halloween. All those are connected. And then the recent one that just came out was Legion of Superheroes. That one had Supergirl, and that one had Jensen Ackles as Batman also. Yeah. And then that's when people started campaigning for him to be Batman. I don't really see it, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And then this one follows up after the events of the Legion. That's basically the timeline. I don't think this isn't. Yeah, no, this would not be James Gunn's slate at all.
No, it seems too soon. Too soon. Now, I could see it. Like I said, I see the actors potentially being, but they just seem like they would be knockoffs. You know what I mean? And you don't want to make your cast seem like not everybody except for Jensen Ackles. I know you say you don't see him, but I think he would be a good bump up with Bruce Wayne. Considering what we got with Pattinson. Now I know people liked him. I'm not saying he was a bad Batman, but I think that they can. I think there's a higher bar than what we got with Pattinson, and I think Jensen Ackles could deliver it. Now, Darren Criss, like I said, I could see it, but that's too much of a, it's like Henry Cavill was like Target, right? like, you're shopping at Target, you're gonna fucking get a dope ass fucking Superman there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Darren Chris kind of looks like if you go to maybe like a Dollar General or maybe like a Walmart and get it. You know what I mean? Like get a Superman from Walmart. That's what he got. Not trying to not. I mean, it's a high bar. It's a high bar, and especially for me, Man of Steel really did put that bar high.
Yeah.
With Henry Cavill. So I don't like, though I can see these, and even with Gal Gadot too as Wonder Woman, I think that was a high bar as well. So seeing these actors, compare them to them, I would see it as a downgrade. You would have to upgrade those characters, and I would have to see somebody like somebody crazy who like resembles Superman to the fullest before in order for me to get Henry Cavill out of my head.
I don't know. I think that's the damn, that is the job for James Gunn to be doing. You know what I mean? That's for him to figure it out. What's funny about Jensen Ackles coming up as Batman is because, oh man, it's always been the bane of my existence because I could never see a live action Jason Todd.
I'm tired of everything being the bane of your existence. Okay, like,
me alone.
is there any less banes of your existence?
There's a no,
No?
but
Alright.
what do you call it? It came up because I could never see a live action Jason Todd. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who.
Yeah.
I've never really put it together. I know people were throwing out names and stuff, but now I don't know. You know what I mean?
Zac Efron.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. But his name came up a lot when after he did Under the Red Hood and he voiced him there, and I was like, no, can't see it.
Can you believe that
Couldn't see him there.
Can you believe it was kind of crazy when Batman versus Superman was coming out? Everybody thought that Justin Bieber was gonna be Robin.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that when like everybody went into panic mode? They're like, Justin Bieber as Robin. Like everybody was just in a frenzy. I kind of feel like that's what happened with Zac Efron as Jason Todd. I know that there was a lot of fan casting, with that one, and with Jensen Ackles. Like I said, I feel like that one's gonna split people. So I don't know if he wants to move forward with him. But me personally, I would think he'd be good.
I don't know, man. Zac Efron would have been the perfect Justin Storm. Human Torch.
Zac Efron?
Johnny Storm.
Yeah, if he didn't fuck up his
If
jaw,
he didn't
though.
fuck up his face.
His jaw's too strong now.
Now I advocate for the dude from Stranger Things to be Johnny Storm. I hope they throw him a bone.
What dude?
He played Billy. I don't know if you remember the show that well.
The coconut head dude?
No.
Billy.
Watch.
Yeah, let me see.
Hold on.
But yeah, I mean, do you kind of see though, like they look kind of like a knockoff in a way, like how I'm saying. I kind of feel like
If they were to come into live action, I could see them being well, yeah, like you said, the Justice Syndicate or something like that, knockoffs or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. She don't look too bad, but she does have a lot of acting credits, and so does he. So and I'm sure that's what kind of made people speculate, like, oh, maybe that's it. Oh, him.
For Johnny, this is who I would choose.
I could see him. Oh, okay. The brother that dies, right?
Yeah. Billy.
Like he's like a badass or whatever.
Yeah, he's supposed to be badass. Yeah.
Yeah, he acts kind of like a dick sometimes. I don't know. Let's breathe it into existence. You hear that, James Gunn? Come on now. All right, moving on though. We also heard that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are hard at work within their culmination of the Mandoverse within this movie. They're basically saying, how many Star Wars characters can they cram into a movie? Filoni and Favreau said to Entertainment Weekly, saying that not just for Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew, the primary shows that we have set in this period of the Star Wars timeline already. Instead, they want to go big. We're in the right area code. We are definitely in the right space. I think it's going to be a clamoring of characters saying, how do I get in this picture? And that's what John and I have been figuring out. We joke that it's like playing it with action figures, like what's in the box. Let's play with what's in the box, and that's what you do when you're playing and you're a kid. So, and Filoni and Favreau, they have not been shy about adding characters from different Star Wars mediums. We saw Luke right? We saw Luke in season 2. We saw like a panther. No, it's okay. We saw Boba Fett. Boba Fett make an appearance back. Fennec Shan. I think she was like an original character in the Mandoverse, right?
No, she showed up in Clone Wars. She's a Clone Wars character. That's a Filoni character.
She didn't show up before the Mandalorian, though.
I'm sure. I think she did.
No, she showed up in the Bad Batch after the Mandalorian, though.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. 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 No, you didn't see her in any of those things. They brought Bo-Katan back. There's a lot of Star Wars characters out there that they've been putting in, but like, are they really gonna go down the road of like too much fan service? Is that what they're basically hinting at? Like, I want to see Star Wars characters interacting with each other, but if all of them interact with each other within one movie, doesn't it just make the universe feel small? Or am I tripping?
Okay, so yeah, I guess you were right. She showed up to chapter 5.
That's right. Star Wars fan.
But
Don't come at me, bro.
But what do you call it? Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fan service. You won't be able to please everybody because at the end of the day, it's about who's more important to the story. And the grand scheme of things is they have to navigate it properly for it to end up where it ends up, which is the sequel trilogy. So you're gonna get Mando, you get Baby Yoda. I can see Ahsoka showing up. I can see the people from the Skeleton Crew maybe, but I mean I don't know. That's a long time before. You know what I mean? Like you're telling me they survived 20 years of the Empire without being found? I doubt it.
And then they're all just gonna pop up at one time in a movie.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get it's the Mandoverse, but it's just a tiny. We have this giant timeline of Star Wars, and that one's just like a tiny timeline. You know what I mean? And for them to want to carry it on until this piece and say, yeah, we're gonna try to cram a lot of people into that one, it just sounds to me like they're gonna really rely on fan service. And though I'm good with fan service here and there, but like, they didn't really wow me with Boba Fett. They didn't really wow me with season 3 of The Mandalorian. I didn't get wowed with Obi-Wan. I mean, there was a couple of wow scenes, but it wasn't like a wow. But it was just like a wow, And it was what other one came out? I think that was it, right? I think Mandalorian season 2 was like the highest they reached, and then after that, it was just like a slippery slope. Just went down.
I don't know, dude. It's tough because it's not about who's who. It's about what's more important. Because at that point, you have to be like, well, where were they during the sequels? And then you have to navigate through there, and you have to start piecing them together. And then you're like, oh, well, the end conclusion is that they all showed up at the end of Rise of Skywalker, in that big battle scene or whatever, on that planet. But that's assuming, and I think painting this picture is like you have to be able to navigate that carefully. And while they do kind of do a good job of that, cramming them all into that movie is gonna be a mess. So I mean, I think key players should just stick to it, and they should not be playing with quote unquote action figures with this bitch.
Yeah, because I mean, I can maybe see Ezra being there too. Maybe Ezra Bridger with Ahsoka. I can probably see Sabine, wanting to fight for the Mandalorians and stuff like that. But maybe the Rebels gang come back. Hera comes back. Zeb comes back. Who knows? But it's just, I like Filoni, but I think it's kind of like that discourse that's happening where, like, it gets tiresome, when you just save your characters to try to put them on into a next, a next thing. You know what I mean?
They have to. Unfortunately, they have to die, and that means losing characters like Ahsoka and this and that. Like, I don't want to see it, but I know if it's done right, I'm gonna appreciate it more.
Yeah, like they're all gonna make it up into that culmination movie. You know what I mean? Like
that doesn't work.
Mando's gonna make it all the way safe and sound. So is Ahsoka. Like, nobody's gonna die before the journey. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, we're going after Thrawn, and this is, we're so close, but somebody died along the way. You know what I mean? Like, we need more impact. We don't need the nostalgia heartstrings to be pulled on. We need, that serious hitting cinema.
Yeah, and like not to rain on anyone's parade, but the Mando isn't gonna live 900 years. For Grogu. At some point he's gonna have to end up either dying to protect that kid, or he's gonna have to settle down somewhere and just raise him. But he can't keep doing that and running around and stuff. So hopefully they pick something and it sticks. Maybe by the end of the movie he dies or whatever, and you're like, okay, what's going on with Grogu now? Because by this point he has to be close to 100 years old.
In season 3, he has to be in his 70s.
That's why. So he has to be reaching close to 100 at this point by the end of that movie or something. He should be able to be doing more.
I think they said when the Rey movie comes out, he'll be about 100 plus. I think when the Mando movie comes out, since that one's coming out first, he'll probably be 90.
If they are setting him up to be that long range and he shows up in that movie, then okay, that makes sense. But you're doing a lot of dodging and stuff, keeping him alive.
I'm just saying, I think that baby should have been shot a long time ago with the amount of danger he was put into, but that's just me.
I don't know what it is, dude. Because I see it, not just you, but you mentioning that reminds me of those people. Because I see it on Twitter all the time. People are like, man, they should have shot Grogu, fucking kill that baby and whatever. And I'm like, what is wrong with you guys?
Well, I'm not saying it in a harsh way,
no,
I'm
not saying you. I'm just saying your comment reminded me of them, and I see them, and I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Why can't y'all just y'all don't have to like the character, but for the people that do, don't say shoot the fucking baby. That sounds bad,
Yeah, it sounds bad, but I think mostly for story purposes, like I said, the amount of danger that this baby was put into, I think at one point it would have bit the dust at one point.
Nah,
but
bro, that's what his chest piece is for.
I understand maybe Order 66, him surviving that. I understand, the first season, the second.
What I saw, sorry, I'm gonna cut you.
No, go ahead.
You know what I saw that was really funny? Someone was like, really? You had a random Jedi save Grogu? You couldn't get Anakin or Obi-Wan or whatever to get him during Order 66? And someone replied, Order 66? By this point, Anakin was fighting Obi-Wan and Ahsoka was on Mandalore fighting for her life.
If Anakin would have found Grogu, that would have been done deal.
It would have been like, damn, I missed one. There's no.
It's gonna try to do a little hop thing. He's gonna.
There's no fucking way. So there was no. It was funny because they commented that, and I was just like, you fucking moron.
What I want to see, who I want to see in the Mando movie or whatever it's gonna be about, I want to see Cal Kestis. I need to see him in live action. I'm going to be playing the Jedi Survivor game, but I need to see him in live action. It's crazy how they say, Star Wars and the Star Wars timeline is going to jump from animation to video game, but we haven't seen that video game jump into, live action and, getting the exact same actor who has acting chops, who's proven himself over and over again, who can be in a show. I think we should do that. And I think we should probably get a Star Killer show, but that's just me.
I would like to see Cal Kestis in live action.
Yeah.
I was hoping he'd show up in Mando at some point. But I think they're kind of just navigating him through the games right now to find him that pinpoint. And then eventually he'll show up. But till then, he's just stuck in the games right now.
Ugh, sucks. I want to see him in live action. But we'll have to wait and see. Mandoverse coming to a dramatic ending of a movie, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But maybe we should keep some of the toys put away in the toy box. I don't think we need to bring them all out to play, you know what I mean? I don't think we need them all there, but depending on how big the scale is. I know Thrawn's a pretty big threat, and I'm thinking what's really gonna show us the tone and basically what they're basically gonna set up is gonna be shown within Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is going to play heavy in what's going to happen next.
Sure. Did you finish season 3 of Mando?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we got to see about doing a review on it. But
why? It's trash. Nobody watched that shit.
So we have to talk about it.
Nobody watched it, though.
You
know how low the ratings were?
We still have to talk about it.
I think me, you, and maybe Soups were watching. That was it.
Fuck what he was watching. But eventually we'll talk about it because like I was saying to the homie was that basically what happens at the end of season 3 sets up for Ahsoka and Thrawn's return and stuff. So like I want to be able to talk about it.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll do that for you. We could do that for you
at some point.
But right now I want to do something for me, and I want to talk about James Gunn.
Son of a bitch.
He had his premiere over the weekend on Thursday. Even went as far on the red carpet to talk about a little bit of Superman. I know we talked about it in a different episode. He talked about his characteristics for Superman. Also went ahead and voiced his dislike for the way Star-Lord was portrayed within Infinity War.
Oh, really?
And also goes to say this to the Hollywood Reporter, saying that claiming he wasn't a fan of the character's decisions. I think there was is there a quote from him real quick? Let me see. Yeah, that he didn't like the character's decisions, especially he says the director of Infinity War did some things that I wouldn't have wanted, specifically referring to the questionable decision by Quill during the confrontation with Thanos that led to half of the universe being killed. So basically saying that my Star-Lord would have never punched Thanos and doomed the whole universe. I always had an issue with it, but I never thought it was out of pocket for him, if that made sense. You know what I mean? I always thought, you lost the love of your life. You thought she was coming back. The person that killed the love of your life is standing right in front of you. And though you could have stopped everything right then and there, the rage from what happened obviously takes over. I thought it was well written. I mean, it sucks that, it happened with what it happened to be what made Endgame happen, but I liked that aspect. I liked that, Thanos got under everybody's skin to the point where, it made them, faulty, mess up. RDJ, like he couldn't even, he was standing toe to toe, but he was putting so much focus towards Thanos that he wasn't thinking about the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Even, Tony Stark was messed up in that movie. So it's like, I like the way that it happened. I think Infinity War is one of the best Avengers films. You know what I mean? One of the best MCU films. And I think the Russo brothers did good. I can't agree with James Gunn on this one.
I thought it was accurate too, because I mean, while I don't like him, I remember very, very, very accurately that he lashes out. It's well within his character to lash out and shit. It happened in the second one where, his father was promising him divine power and godlike abilities and stuff, but then once he mentioned that he put a tumor and was basically the one that caused his mom's death, he
went crazy. Yeah, he went nuts.
Yeah, he lit his ass up. So it sounds very in character. It doesn't sound like out of pocket for him. If he was more of a certain way, and then at some point that they take the character and sort of abuse him, then that's different. You know what I'm saying? That's very different.
Yeah, if they would have dragged the character through the mud and like, don't get me wrong, a lot of people point the finger at Quill for the reason why the snap happened at the end of the day, but it wasn't just his actions. It was a combination of actions that happened within the movie. You know what I mean? Like they could have stopped them a long time ago, but because they Doctor Strange had to give him the stone, and he was basically plowing through people. I think he also said too that with the Gamora scene where when Thanos was like shoot her or whatever, and she was like, yeah, shoot me, that apparently James Gunn would have said he would have shot her. But I doubt that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that because James Gunn just showed how like childish and how obsessive he is with Gamora, to the point where like, because he loves her and he's like this big kid at heart. Like I wouldn't have been able to see him shoot her either. Like he says these things like this is the way that I would have made him, but the way he wrote him in the first two movies, I can't see him not doing the
Russo
actions.
brothers. It looks like the Russo brothers took in everything from those past movies and like did them accurately. You know what I mean? Like put them in the situation where they act like themselves and not out of place. You know, like that's how I feel about it.
And I mean, I guess it's admirable too, because even Chris Pratt, like, I don't want to say it's 100% admirable, because it kind of hits me as like a little snitch bitch kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like, when things were happening on the set of Infinity War, he was basically the guy that was like, no, I don't think this is right. Let me call James real quick. Like, he would be that kind of guy, and I'm just like, that's fine, you know, wanting to, you know, stay true to the vision and everything. But when two, in my opinion, great directors, and on top of that, my opinion, better than James Gunn in different aspects,
Yeah.
you know, says that this is the way that they interpret it and say like this is the way the character would be. I can't say I shouldn't. I don't believe them. I think that, you know, they written it well. I think that it was well within the parameters that James Gunn set himself within his movies.
Yeah.
And I think everything panned out the way that it was supposed to be. Like, I know it's, for James Gunn, it's kind of like, oh, it's my team's fault what happened in Infinity War. But it's like, what's wrong with that? Like, it had to be somebody's fault that, you know, he won. Why wouldn't you want it to be Quill and then, you know, learn a big lesson from it?
There was multiple times in that movie where characters were quite literally acting like themselves. RDJ, Tony Stark let his trauma get to him. He's been having his trauma get to him since the third movie. Since the Avengers.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't sleep at night. His trauma forced him to make all those movies in Iron Man. I mean, all those suits in Iron Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes his thing off, and then he's like, well, I don't want to be Iron Man no more. But then it's his trauma that leads him to make Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's his trauma that where he feels protective over Peter. And then it's his trauma that affects Civil War. And then, you know, that leads into Infinity War. It's not out of character for him to be like, oh, Thanos is going to be here. Let's take the fight to him.
Yeah.
When he could have totally been like, nah, let's get the team back together, put my pride aside, my trauma, and work with Steve again. But no, he let his ego and whatever fuel it. He took him to Titan. What do you call it? Quill, in his anger, he interrupted their plan. Thanos did it at the end, and then at the end of it all, what does Thor do? It's his pride and whatever else, being a god killer and whatever, that led him to not go for the neck. So
I think Infinity
mean?
War I think Infinity War was the Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame were the best ways that they've written the characters. I think that's when we really saw RDJ going through his problems on top of what happened with Iron Man 3. I think in Infinity War is when we saw Chris Hemsworth's Thor like at his peak, you know what I mean? And actually dealing with all the emotional aspects that came with, you know, losing Loki, still the ramifications that happened in Ragnarok with, you know, Odin dying and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Russo brothers written them really well. Even, like, I don't even know if James Gunn had a hand in that little confrontation that they had with, you know, Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and everything when he's like, who do you work for? And he's like, what am I supposed to say, Jesus? Like, or whatever. Like, I think everything was written to a T. I think the Russo brothers did their research. I think they watched the Guardians of the Galaxy and actually made good calls. If anybody else would have done that, I wouldn't have understood the motivation. But Quill doing that for Gamora, I see it.
That sounds
I can
accurate.
see it. Yeah, I can see it.
But you want to talk about visions and not liking how characters went out? We can look at your Suicide Squad.
Oh, dude, okay. Oh, whoa.
No, he was talking this shit. Now I'm ready to unload. I was willing to side with him for a bit, but no. We want to talk about characters and ruining them. What'd you do with Boomerang? What'd you do with Harley? What happened to Deadshot? Like, you know, make it make sense. You want to talk about directors not sticking to your material?
I don't think that they did Harley dirty. I think Harley was well written.
Shut up. No, but you know what I mean.
Losing Boomerang, yes, I get you. I give you that one. Who else? I will say Rick Flag had like a very ceremonious end. I think that they did a good job with that one.
But
like I
But
can see
look,
with some characters, but
but
some
look.
characters he did a decent job with.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't really talk about your vision and your characters wouldn't do this and that when you kind of did characters dirty in other films. So, the world is going to be crazy. The Russo brothers did their best. I think it worked out.
Like I said, Infinity War is one of the best MCU movies. So, in my opinion, Guardians of the Galaxies, both of them are. I think Infinity War highlighted them very well. I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
But moving on to our last topic, and this is gonna, involve the other half of the DC studio duo, which was Peter Safran. Talking about Jason Momoa. Now, we also heard that Jason Momoa supposedly was not super happy, saying that he turned in about a 50-page script or a 150-page script or something for Aquaman 2, and they took it, but then they basically took bits and pieces and improved on it with different aspects. That kind of led into this comments and questioning, which Peter Safran basically says that he's a Jason Momoa fanboy, saying, "What you see is what you get with Jason. I have been working with him for 6 or 7 years, and I keep waiting for the proverbial other shoe to drop. If there is an inner asshole in him, it has never come out." Now, a lot of people are picking this out and saying, like, this is, Peter Safran kind of teasing Lobo. That makes sense. That he, played this, Aquaman, like, even though he played a darker version of Aquaman in a way, like, he still wasn't, like, mean. And I think I kind of see where it kind of seems like they're teasing a little bit something right there with Safran. And even Momoa goes and says, "I look forward to working with Jason for many years to come. I would be happy for it to be in Arthur Curry's world, but when another opportunity came up, I'd find another great character for him to create."
He's talking about Lobo.
Yeah, he's
Dog, we know you're Lobo.
Bro, you're gonna be Lobo, but they're being so vague. Oh, thanks, Mike. I kissed the mic. He's being so vague because he wants Aquaman to do well as well, and we all want Aquaman to do well. Well, I really don't care about Aquaman, but they want Aquaman to do well. So he's gonna be super vague about it until the point where they, Aquaman 2 comes out, and maybe like a month or two later, they're probably gonna be like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be the new Lobo." But it sounds like these hints are being dropped, these little Easter eggs, and I know Momo was probably excited, and he's just like, "Oh, I can't fucking wait," kind of thing, and like he's letting the beans spill just a little bit. But I don't know. I can see him as Lobo though. I wouldn't mind him as Lobo. It's just I don't. Bro, just say that you're not gonna be Aquaman anymore. Let that bitch flop, and then just move on.
We know he's not gonna be Aquaman. Oh, they've been giving vague responses to this bullshit forever. What did he say when the Lobo allegations were coming out? Oh, like, I'm excited, like, my favorite comic book character. Like, we know you like Lobo, dog. Secondly, what did they say? What did he say? Aquaman will show up in the new DCU or whatever at some point. Yeah, but not my Aquaman. Not my Aquaman. A Aquaman. And then this just icing on the cake. Dog, we know you're going to be Lobo. It's fine. You could just say that. But I'm going to miss your fucking Aquaman because he was one of my favorite things about the first one, obviously. And then in Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to miss this. So, like, I want to see the second one. I know it won't be as good.
It's probably not going to be as good. That thing got butchered.
It won't be as good. But
Butchered.
I know I'm going to miss this iteration because I know it's not coming back.
I'm going to miss it too. I am excited to see a live action Lobo though. And if he's going to be embodying that, I can't even say no. It's just the pussyfooting for me. Like, and I get it. I get why they got to do it. I understand. It's don't come at me, guys. I get it. They need to do that because they want to sell Aquaman tickets. I get it. But just be like, look, show up, show out. I think they should have done this since the jump. Either A, put all the movies that they have slated out right now on streaming alone and just be like, make the numbers up in streaming. Or B, double down on that shit. Just be like, yeah, it's going to be a new universe. We're going to be taking some of these characters. Probably you're not going to see the same actors in the same thing, but they're going to probably play something different. Come out to see these movies because it's going to help generate revenue for the next set of movies that are going to be coming out. And if they flop, they flop. If they make it, they make it, and move on from there. It's just, I know they want to recoup as much money as they can, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't be doing all this fucking stepping aside and stuff. Like we know what's coming, bro. You don't have to soften the blow for us, even though I low key appreciate it. But yeah, no,
I low key appreciate it.
I do because I'm a Mrs. Aquaman. Like he was like not for nothing, but he, in my eyes, he made Aquaman cool again. You know what I mean?
I think him and Zack Snyder really went in and was like, look, we don't want people making fun of the Aquaman. We want him to look cool and shit. And I think what they did with him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then what happened in James Wan's Aquaman, even giving him that comic accurate suit, but also making it look dope. I don't know. I think they did a great job to reinvent this character, and for them to just be like, we're probably just gonna send it back to the blonde guy. Like it's
nah, man. Like
we're gonna get Chris Pratt to be Aquaman.
Stop mentioning his name for things. It's gonna suck not seeing it because I really do believe he made it cool again. And I really can't live in a world where I hear more of the fucking the fish jokes and all this bullshit. But whatever.
James Gunn, and that we're gonna hear it. Apparently, he says that he knows the tone, and hearing the good stuff that's coming out of Guardians 3 so far, I mean, gives me high hopes that he might be able to do something. The Rotten Tomato score kind of dropping doesn't help too much. We'll have to wait and see with that one. But I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for Lobo. It's gonna suck to see him leave, but what's that song? I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you leave. No? Okay. No. Anyways, but yeah, that's gonna be the end of this episode. If there's anything that we discussed, anything that we didn't discuss, anything that you felt like we should have talked about but we didn't, and you guys want to tell us about it, a movie that you guys want us to review, Josh, let them know where they can let us know.
Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at Film Bros Podcast. We post new episodes are up, and you can engage with us about any news or movies you want us to cover. If you want to listen to us on the go, Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Film Bros Podcast. If you want to support us in a big way, Zippy Stream at Film Bros Podcast. All it takes is name is an email. You get updates of when new episodes drop. I kind of fumbled on my words at this last bit. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube at Film Bros Podcast.
And with that being said, we'll talk to you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.